All right, let's jump right into this explainer. Today we're looking at a real-time case study of, well, catastrophic political failure. We're going to examine a situation where absolute supreme power just completely shifts hands in the span of a single morning. We're breaking down that infamous sequence of events from George R.R. Martin's world, specifically the morning Lord Eddard Stark lost the Game of Thrones. It's an absolute masterclass in tension, highlighting exactly what happens when rigid ideology collides head-on with raw, unprincipled force.
To really understand how it all fell apart, we actually have to start at the very end. I did warn you not to trust me, you know. This right here is the climax of our timeline. It's the exact moment a blade is pressed against Ned Stark's throat by the literal man who promised to secure his power. It establishes the ultimate life-or-death stakes at the political game in King's Landing, but you have to wonder, how did the most powerful man in the kingdom, the Hand of the King, end up utterly defenseless in his own throne room? To figure that out, we need to jump back in time just a few hours.
Part 1. The calm before the storm.
So let's set the scene right as the sun comes up. And I use sun lightly here because it's a dawn that brings no light. Only this overcast, eerie grayness that perfectly mirrors the grim political reality about to unfold. Ned awakens from a brief, exhausted sleep. He is already drained before the day even begins. But contrast that with the Lannister Guard's morning. Thundering hoofbeats, joking and cursing. You've got Sandor Clegane violently driving an iron-tipped lance through a straw dummy's head. The Lannister power is practically exploding right outside Ned's window. It's this aggressive, physical show of force that literally jars him awake.
And this brilliantly illustrates the rapid compression of events that morning. Think about it. At dawn, Ned wakes to those aggressive Lannister drills. He makes a quick, desperate move, ordering his daughters Arya and Sansa to pack for a ship leaving by midday. But before midday even arrives, just 1 hour later actually, Grand Maester Pycelle walks into his solar to announce that King Robert is dead. Ned has absolutely zero time to breathe, let alone strategize. The crisis is instantly upon him.
Part 2. The Divided Small Council.
Now Ned's immediate reaction is to try and consolidate his power from within the secure walls of his solar, but his assets are rapidly dwindling before the battle even begins. He expected Renly Baratheon's 100 swords to back him, right? But Renly had already fled south with 50 retainers before dawn. That is a devastating blow right from the start. He looks to Sir Barristan Selmy, but the Honorable Knight declares his place is beside the new boy King Joffrey. So who does Ned actually have left? He's completely dependent on the 100 gold cloaks of the City Watch, supposedly secured by Littlefinger.
With his physical forces so severely compromised, Ned leans entirely on King Robert's last letter, with its seal completely unbroken. He has Pycelle and Sir Barristan verify it. The text clearly names him Protector of the Realm. So Ned plans to use this document to deceitfully play the game, keeping his true intentions about the succession a secret, just long enough for Stannis Baratheon to arrive with an army. He genuinely thinks the law will shield him while he stalls.
Part 3. Showdown in the Throne Room.
Well, Ned's plan to carefully stall within his solar is immediately shattered when the royal steward abruptly enters, demanding the council's immediate presence in the throne room. The trap is sprung. When Ned limps in, this is the massive physical threat he faces. 5 Kingsguard in full enameled steel armor, Sandor Clegane in soot-gray plate, 20 Lannister guardsmen with long swords and crimson cloaks, and against all of them, Ned brought only 8 Stark guardsmen. But lining the walls are the 100 gold cloaks. I really want to highlight Ned's fatal reliance on those gold cloaks here. He sees them, and he feels instantly reassured.
The absolutely crucial point is the distribution of armed men in that room. The gold cloaks outnumber the Lannister guards 5-1. Because Littlefinger promised the watch was bought and paid for, Ned sees this overwhelming numerical advantage and feels completely confident issuing his ultimatums to the Queen.
Part 4. The Paper Shield fails.
This is where we see the ultimate clash of ideologies happening right at the base of the Iron Throne. There is this brutal, brutal irony to the title Protector of the Realm. On paper, it granted Ned the highest legal authority in the kingdom to rule as regent. Technically, he was the law, but the title itself offered absolutely no physical protection against a sword.
Let's compare the two strategies at play here, because the contrast is wild. Ned relies on King Robert's sealed letter, his unbroken seal, and the rightful, legal line of succession. Cersei Lannister, on the other hand, relies on the immediate, terrifying presence of heavily armed guards and a boy who's already sitting on the throne, wearing a crown. Ned just hands the letter over, fully expecting the words to command the room.
And Cersei delivers this absolutely devastating response. She reads the title, looks at him, and asks if a piece of paper is meant to be his shield. And then she rips the letter in half, rips it into quarters, and lets the pieces literally flutter to the floor. This completely cements the thematic core of the conflict. In King's Landing, laws, honor, and seals only matter if you have the brute force to back them up. Ned's legal shield is destroyed in seconds.
Part 5. The Final Betrayal.
The tension just totally snaps, words fail, and treason moves to deeds. The Hound draws his sword with a rasp of metal. Joffrey is screaming from the throne, "Kill him! Kill all of them!" Ned, still believing he holds the upper hand, commands Jon Slint and his 100 gold cloaks to take the queen into custody. But instead, pure chaos erupts. The nearest gold cloak suddenly drives an iron-tipped spear straight through the back of Ned's guard, Tomard. The commander of the watch himself, Jon Slint, slashes Varley's throat. Cain tries to fight back with a flurry of blows, but the Hound is right on him, dismembering him and cutting him down. Ned's 8 guards are instantly brutally obliterated by the very men he thought were his allies. And finally, amidst all the dying men, Littlefinger slides Ned's own dagger up under his chin, smiling apologetically.
So what does this all mean for us? In a game of deceit and shifting allegiances, is honor a shield, or is it a fatal vulnerability? Lord Eddard Stark believed that right made might, that the law would protect him, and that the men around him would respect a king's final words. But his rigid reliance on those rules cost him literally everything. It's a terrifying reminder of how quickly power evaporates when you mistake the illusion of authority for the reality of force. I hope this explainer gave you a much deeper understanding of this incredible sequence. Keep questioning the structures of power around you, and as always, keep learning.